Common accessibility issues with scanned documents include not having OCR applied during scanning in the first place, missing alt text for graphics, missing a metadata title, missing hyperlinks, having the document not tagged, and we'll talk about that, and improperly structured headings. To make sure that you're applying OCR during the scanning process, if you're starting with a library copier, make sure that you go to the File Format option, choose PDF, and make sure you set the OCR or text searchable option, and then click OK. If you're using a desktop scanner, you'll have to go into the help on your scanning software to see where those settings are. There will be similar settings in your scanning software. The next thing you need to do is go into Adobe Acrobat and enhance the scan for accessibility. Now, this document is clearly scanned as an image. You can see that it's all skewed. That's your first clue that it may not be an OCR document. But a surefire test is to search the document for some text. So let's go ahead and click Find Text, and I'm just going to search for the word Mozart. And sure enough, this page contains only an image, so it can't find any text. That's your clue right there, that this has not been OCR'd. Now, it offers to run text recognition for me. Now, I'm going to click No, because we're going to do that as part of a complete accessibility enhancement process. What you want to do is come over to your Tools menu on the right side of the screen, and we're going to choose Enhance Scans. A new menu bar should appear at the top with an Enhance drop-down menu. We're going to choose Scanned Document. All pages, we want to recognize the text, and then we'll take a look at the settings. All pages, we're not going to talk about compression in this video. The filters, deskew, that'll straighten it out, it'll remove any background noise, it'll sharpen the text a bit, and of course recognize text. So let's leave all those settings and click OK. And now we'll click Enhance. And you can see the optimizing process. And there you go. It certainly looks better. The text is straightened out, it's a little bit clearer, but let's do that search test again. We'll go up to the top and find Mozart, and sure enough, there is now recognizable text in the document. So that's a step closer to making our document accessible. There are some other things that you need to worry about though, and to find those, we're going to run the Make Accessible wizard. And to find the Make Accessible wizard, you come over to the Action wizard on the right-hand side and choose Make Accessible. Now this will actually walk you through step-by-step things to check for to make sure that your document is accessible. There's the name of my document. I'm going to click Start. First thing is, it needs a title. Not a title on screen, but a metadata title. So I'm going to type that in. And I'm not going to put in a subject or author. The second thing is the language, and the second option is the output. We want this to be editable text and images. And downsampling, we're not going to talk about file sizes in this video. So the next thing is this document intended to be a fillable form? We're not going to cover forms, and this is definitely not a form. Language is recognized as English. That's a good thing. Okay, now this is where Acrobat's going to recognize images that do not have alt text and give me the opportunity to go ahead and apply some. So, drawing of Mozart as a young boy. We'll go to the next one. And you'll see there's a checkbox there for decorative figure. If this is something that does not need alt text, if it is a swirl or something that's non-meaningful, you can flag that as a decorative figure that does not require alt text. So finally, when it's run through all the options, you get this final window that's going to do the complete check. I never create a separate accessibility report. I just look at the one that's created on screen. So here are the things it's checking for. Is it image only? Well, we know it's not, but it's going to check. Is it a tagged PDF? It will fix that. Let's go ahead and start checking. Okay, almost immediately there's a panel that opens on the left with the accessibility checker results, and we can open up these menus. Two things under document: logical reading order. Let me open this a little bit. Logical reading order and color contrast are always going to come back as needing manual check, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But those are two things that can't be checked for automatically. They need sort of human intervention. Page content. In this case, character encoding has failed, and this happens quite a bit with scanned documents, especially ones that may not have been the best quality. You can see here if I click on word 1, it highlights down here drawing of Mozart in silver point. It didn't recognize the E as an E, so it flags that as an error, and I'll show you how to fix that because that does happen quite a bit in scanned OCR documents. And finally, we've got issues with our headings. Appropriate nesting failed. This is something else that's very common in scanned documents. There's no structure to the document, and I'll show you how to go ahead and add that so that you can pass that test. Let's talk about reading order and color contrast. Reading order is the order in which elements on the page will be read by a screen reader. Now, in a case like this, it seems pretty straightforward. The screen reader will go top to bottom, left to right, but it doesn't always come across that way, especially if you have several columns, lots of images. You really do need to give it a quick manual check and make sure that the document segments are in a logical order. So let's go ahead to the right column and click our reading order button. And this little panel opens up, and you can see now that my document is sort of chunked into sections with numbers. This is the order in which a screen reader will address each element on the screen, and this actually looks pretty good. If you scroll down to the second page, you can see that the numbering starts over again with 1 because each page is treated as a unit in terms of reading order. So you can see this actually came over pretty well. If for some reason the reading order didn't look the way you wanted it to, let's say it, the Syracuse University libraries weren't number 1, it was actually number 9, or if the image for some reason was being read first. If the order isn't the way you want it, you can click down here on the Show Order Panel button and actually drag the items around into the order in which you would like them read. Now, this does not change their location on the page in any way. It merely adjusts the order in which a screen reader will read the elements on the page. Okay, so reading order, always give that a manual check. Most of the time it will come over just fine, but you never know, so always give that a manual check. And of course, color contrast, a machine can't check that for you. We've got black on white, so we know we're safe. Character encoding issues, those are very common in scanned documents. If there are problems with the recognition of text, they will be flagged as a character encoding problem. I'm going to click the first one here, word 1, and we saw that it was the E in silver point. By coming over here to my tools, I'm going to edit my PDF. Come down here and select the text. I think I'm just going to retype the whole word. Silver point. Okay, so I've made that change. And then when I come back over, if I right-click on this arrow, I can click check again. And there we go. So that's in fact what it was. The E in silver point somehow was not recognized. The next error that you see is appropriate nesting failed. Now this is also quite common in scanned documents, and what this means is that headers that are necessary to add structure to a document don't always come over. And we'll take a look at element 1, which fails. Let's come over to our reading order And also we saw the reading order panel before, but now instead of looking at the order in which they're read, we're going to look at the structure of the document. So now it's showing, instead of numbers, the letter P. These are all just paragraphs. There are really no headers. So we want to highlight each item and assign it a header level. So we've got heading 1s, we've got heading 2s, and I'm somewhat familiar with this document, having used it before, so I know that there are 3 levels of heading. So I want to go through and add heading 1, heading 2, and heading 3 where I think it should belong. Okay, so now I've got all of my headers assigned, and we'll go ahead and check again. And there we go. Appropriate nesting has passed because I've gone in and I've assigned a logical structure to the document. So now it looks like I'm okay. I've done my manual checks, I've passed all of the automatic checks, and it looks like we've got an accessible PDF.